She saw it from the start. The potbelly was there even when they were dating. But eager to marry, she brushed it aside, telling herself love was enough. A year later, that same potbelly became her excuse to disrespect, to cheat, and to break her marriage. This is the story of how flimsy excuses can destroy a home, and why true love looks deeper than appearance. What happened next will shock you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Linda was 37 when she met Raymond. She had prayed and waited for years to find the right man. Some of her friends were already married with children, and she felt time was running out. Whenever she attended weddings, she smiled outwardly, but inside she asked herself, when will it be my turn? One Saturday morning, she went to a supermarket to pick up groceries. As she struggled to lift a heavy carton of bottled water, a man stepped forward and said politely, "Let me help you." He was tall, soft-spoken, and in his late 40s. His shirt stretched a little at the middle, showing his round stomach, but his face carried a calm kindness. He placed the carton in her trolley and smiled. "Thank you," Linda said, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear. "No problem at all." "My name is Raymond," he replied. They parted ways that day, but 2 weeks later, fate brought them together again at a small business seminar. They were both surprised, and this time they sat down to talk. Raymond worked in logistics. He was organized, polite, and had an old-fashioned gentleness about him. Linda found his voice steady and reassuring. He asked questions and listened to her answers. From the very beginning, Linda noticed the potbelly. It was obvious, sitting beneath his shirts like a proud guest that refused to leave. But Linda quickly pushed the thought aside. She wanted marriage, not just romance. She told herself, he is kind, respectful, and stable. The stomach can change later, with diet and exercise. Raymond courted her simply. He took her to quiet restaurants, asked about her family, and sometimes brought her small gifts, perfume, books, a scarf. He wasn't flashy, but he was reliable. After 3 months, he introduced her to his elder sister. Linda felt a sense of pride. This is serious, she told herself. By the 6th month, Raymond proposed. It wasn't dramatic, no fancy fireworks or crowd, just him in his sitting room, holding a small ring. "Linda," he said gently, "I want to build a life with you. Will you marry me?" Her heart raced. She thought about her age. She thought about her aunties, constantly reminding her that her time was going. She thought about Raymond's steady love. She looked at his round belly one more time and quickly turned her mind away. "Yes, I will marry you," she said with a smile. Their wedding was beautiful. Friends and family gathered, music played. Raymond looked at her like she was the only woman alive. Linda wore a simple white gown, and her friends praised her. "You look so happy," they said. She was happy. In that moment, she felt like she had finally made it. They honeymooned by the seaside. Raymond liked to eat plenty, and he often patted his stomach and joked, "This one will not go anywhere." Linda laughed, though deep inside she thought, "Later, we will diet. Later, we will join a gym." Life settled quickly. They moved into a neat 2-bedroom flat. Raymond paid bills on time, fixed leaking taps, and carefully arranged receipts in a file. He was a man of routine. He loved football on Fridays and heavy food on weekends. He often left little notes on the fridge. "Have a nice day." He called at lunchtime to ask, "Have you eaten?" He adored Linda and believed they were a team. Linda introduced him to her closest friend, Grace. Grace liked Raymond immediately. "He's calm and responsible. Hold this one tight," Grace advised. Linda smiled and agreed. In her heart, She told herself she had chosen wisely. But sometimes, in quiet moments, Linda would scroll through her phone and see pictures of young men at the gym. Flat stomachs, strong arms, firm bodies. She would glance at Raymond, snoring softly on the couch, his shirt stretched around his belly. She would shake the thought away quickly. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I have a husband. The belly can change later. On Sundays, they went to church together. Raymond liked to rest afterward, lying down with a satisfied sigh. Linda would sometimes watch him from the corner of her eye. He was content, and she was too, or so she told herself. One afternoon, Raymond dressed for a family outing. His shirt pulled tightly at the buttons around his middle. He turned to her, grinning. "Handsome enough?" Linda adjusted his collar and smiled. "Handsome," she replied. She meant it, at least partly. As they stepped out for photos, she slipped her hand into his and posed proudly. From the outside, they were the perfect couple. But deep inside, a small voice whispered questions she refused to answer. For now, she silenced it with a smile and told herself again, "We are fine. Love is enough. Everything else can change later, for now." A year passed quickly after the wedding. On the outside, Linda and Raymond looked like a happy couple. They went to church together, attended family gatherings, and posted cheerful photos online. But inside their home, things were not as smooth as they appeared. It started with small things. Linda no longer wanted to cuddle in bed at night. She would roll over to her side and pretend to be asleep when Raymond reached for her. Sometimes she complained about his snoring, other times about the heat. The truth was, she simply did not want his touch. Raymond noticed. He was not foolish. He felt the distance growing between them, but whenever he asked, "Is everything okay? Are you fine?" Linda always smiled lightly and said, "Everything is fine." Her words did not match her actions. The belly that Linda once told herself was small matter became her #1 excuse. When she sat with her closest friend, Grace, she let out her frustrations. "Grace, I don't find him attractive anymore. That stomach. It turns me off. I can't even stand when he takes off his shirt." Grace sighed and shook her head. "Linda, that's not a reason to hate your husband. You knew he had the belly before you married him. Didn't you see it then?" "I saw it," Linda admitted quickly, "but I thought it would change. I thought maybe marriage will make him try to keep fit." Grace leaned closer. "If it bothers you so much, then encourage him. Cook lighter meals. Go on walks together. Join a gym as a couple. Marriage is not about finding a perfect person. It's about growing together." But Linda was not satisfied. She had started to compare her husband with other men. Men she saw at the office, men with flat stomachs, stylish clothes, and charming smiles. To her, Raymond looked older than his age. She ignored his kindness and only saw his potbelly and his calm lifestyle. At home, she grew more irritable. If Raymond left his shoes in the living room, she snapped at him. If he asked her what she wanted for dinner, she rolled her eyes and said, "Do whatever you like." When he tried to kiss her before work, she often turned her face away and muttered, "I'm rushing." Raymond still loved her. He noticed the changes, but believed maybe it was stress from her job. He thought if he gave her more attention, things would improve. So he tried. He bought her small gifts, like handbags or perfumes. He took her out to dinner and asked about her day, but Linda only gave short answers, her mind somewhere else. One Friday night he suggested, "Let's go for a walk tomorrow morning, just around the estate." "It will be nice." She frowned. "Walk for what?" "You know I don't like sweating." You can go." He sighed and nodded. "All right." That night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He remembered how quickly she used to laugh at his jokes, how she would hold his hand, in public proudly. Those things were gone. Something had changed in her, and he didn't know how to reach her heart again. Meanwhile, Linda complained more to Grace. "I can't take it. He is boring. Same routine every day. He eats, sleeps, watches football, and snores. I want excitement in my life." Grace was patient, but firm. "Linda, don't let little things blind you. Your husband loves you. That is rare. Some women are praying for what you have. Don't throw it away because of a belly." Linda looked away, her mind drifting. Grace's advice was wise, but Linda's heart was restless. She wanted more. She wanted thrills, attention, and admiration. At work, she began to notice the way younger men looked at her. Some complimented her perfume or her smile. She enjoyed it. It made her feel desirable again. Raymond's quiet love no longer satisfied her. One evening, Raymond tried to talk to her gently. "Linda, I feel like you're far from me these days. We don't laugh like before. We don't even hold each other anymore. Is there something wrong?" Linda forced a small smile. "No, Raymond. Everything is fine. You worry too much." He wanted to believe her, but in his heart, he felt the truth. Something was slipping away. As she went to bed that night, Linda looked at his round stomach rising and falling as he slept. She frowned and turned her back to him. In her mind, she thought, "I can't do this forever." The seed of discontent had grown into a tree, and soon its branches would lead her into dangerous places. The following weeks moved like a slow cloud over Raymond's marriage. He noticed Linda's coldness, but she always said nothing was wrong. He continued to love her, but he felt like he was loving alone. Linda, on the other hand, carried her restlessness everywhere. At work, she became more conscious of how she looked. She bought new dresses, brighter lipstick, and fixed her hair more often. When Raymond noticed and complimented her, she brushed it off. But when strangers at the office admired her, her heart raced with pride. It was during one of those office meetings that she met Kevin. Kevin was in his early 30s, tall, handsome, and full of energy. He was not even part of her company. He had come as a consultant for a project. His handshake was firm, his smile sharp, and his eyes lingered a little longer than normal. Linda noticed, and she liked it. "Nice presentation," Kevin said after the meeting. "You really speak with confidence." Linda smiled shyly. "Thank you. I try my best." That small exchange was the beginning. Kevin knew how to talk. He was smooth with his words, quick with compliments. He told Linda she looked younger than her age, that she carried herself with elegance, that she had a glow other women lacked. She had not heard such words in a long time. At home, Raymond often told her, "You look nice," but his voice was soft and ordinary. Kevin's words, however, were fiery, exciting, and they lit something inside her. Soon, they began to meet outside office hours. First, it was coffee at a nearby cafe. Then, dinner at a quiet restaurant. Kevin leaned in when he spoke, his cologne strong, his jokes playful. He touched her hand across the table, and she didn't pull away. She laughed more with him than she had with Raymond in months. "Linda," he whispered one night after dinner, "you're too beautiful to be ignored. Any man who doesn't adore you every second is blind." Her heart trembled. In that moment, she forgot Raymond's calm love, his steady sacrifices, his little notes on the fridge. All she saw was Kevin's glowing eyes and charming smile. From then on, the lies began. Whenever she wanted to meet Kevin, she told Raymond she had executive meetings, or late office dinners. Raymond trusted her. He even packed food for her sometimes and kissed her cheek before she left. "Don't stress yourself too much," he would say. Linda smiled back and murmured, "I'll be fine." Then she would drive straight into Kevin's arms. One evening, she returned home late, her hair slightly messy, her perfume different. Raymond waited at the dining table with food untouched. "You're late," he said gently. "Yes, office issues. We had to go over reports." She lied easily now, like it was natural. Raymond believed her. He pushed the food closer. "Eat something." She nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. The thrill of sneaking around gave her a strange excitement. Kevin made her feel alive, young, and wanted. She began to compare the two men openly in her heart. When she looked at Raymond, she saw only his routine, his potbelly, his quietness. When she looked at Kevin, she saw energy, adventure, and charm. Soon, she started spending money on Kevin. It began small, paying for dinner, buying him shirts. Then it grew. She paid for his new phone, helped with his rent, and even offered to fund his business idea. Kevin never refused. He accepted with sweet smiles and passionate words. "You're the only woman who understands me," he would say, and Linda's heart melted. At home, Raymond noticed her withdrawing more. She avoided his touch, always busy on her phone, laughing at messages he never saw. Sometimes she locked herself in the bathroom, whispering on calls. He sensed something was wrong, but whenever he asked, she smiled and said, "It's office work." Raymond loved her too much to suspect the worst. He thought maybe she was under stress. He prayed silently for their marriage. Grace, her closest friend, began to notice changes too. Linda was glowing, but not with marital joy. One afternoon, Grace confronted her. "Linda, what's going on? You're acting different. You're never at home. And when you talk about Raymond, it's always complaints." Linda brushed it off with a laugh. "Nothing is going on, Grace. Don't worry." But Grace was not fooled. She looked into Linda's eyes and said, "Be careful. Don't let excitement outside make you destroy the good man you have at home." Linda waved her hand and changed the topic. But deep inside, she knew Grace was right. She just didn't care. Kevin had become her escape, her new source of joy. And she was not ready to let it go. Linda's life slowly split into two. On one side, she was Raymond's wife, smiling in family photos, sitting beside him in church, wearing her wedding ring proudly. On the other side, she was Kevin's secret lover, laughing in restaurants, holding hands in hotels, and whispering lies into her husband's ears. Kevin had a way of making her forget herself. He was younger, full of energy, and adventurous. He always had new ideas: weekend trips, surprise dinners, or random shopping sprees. Linda loved the rush. It made her feel young again. She started to dress differently: shorter dresses, brighter makeup, and high heels. When Raymond noticed the changes, he said gently, "You look different these days." More colorful, Linda smiled. "Just want to try something new." She didn't tell him that Kevin had said, "You look sexier when you dress like this." The lies grew bolder. One evening, Kevin told her, "Come with me to Dubai. Just a short trip. You deserve it. Tell your husband it's an executive meeting." Linda hesitated. "But a whole trip." Kevin held her hand. "Trust me, you'll enjoy it." And so she lied. She told Raymond her office needed her for an urgent training abroad. Raymond, ever the trusting husband, nodded. "Safe trip. Don't stress too much." He even drove her to the airport, kissed her forehead, and said, "I'll miss you." In Dubai, Linda lived a life of luxury with Kevin. They shopped, dined, and explored the city like honeymooners. She posted vague pictures online, just food and scenery, never Kevin's face. She smiled at the comments from friends. Work trip looks fun. Meanwhile, Raymond sat at home alone, waiting for her calls. He trusted her. He loved her. He had no idea she was holding another man's hand across the ocean. When Linda returned, she was distant. Raymond noticed it, but whenever he asked, she brushed him off with a smile. Work stress, she said. Grace, her closest friend, wasn't fooled. She pulled Linda aside one afternoon. Linda, talk to me. Are you seeing someone? Linda froze, then forced a laugh. What do you mean? Don't lie to me, Grace said firmly. I know you. You're glowing like someone in love, but not with your husband. Please, stop before you destroy your home. Linda waved her hand. Grace, relax. You worry too much. But deep inside, she knew Grace was right. Still, she couldn't stop. Kevin had become her addiction. The money demands started slowly. At first, Linda offered him gifts out of her own free will. A shirt, a new watch, paying for their dinners. But soon, Kevin began to ask. My car is giving me problems, he said one evening. Can you help me with money for repairs? Linda hesitated, then transferred the cash. Weeks later, he said, I want to start a small business, but I need capital. You believe in me, right? She felt a pang of worry, but Kevin kissed her forehead and whispered, You're my everything. I just need your support. She gave him the money. At home, Raymond noticed her bank account shrinking. One evening, he suggested, Let's review our savings together. It looks like we're spending more these days, Linda frowned. I know how to handle my money, Raymond. Don't start monitoring me. He raised his hands calmly. I'm not monitoring. I just want us to be transparent as a couple. She turned away, annoyed. Raymond sighed. He knew his wife was changing, but he didn't want to believe she could betray him. He told himself maybe it was just stress or a phase. He prayed silently for their marriage. Meanwhile, Linda lived her double life more boldly. She cooked less at home, claiming she was too tired from meetings. She stayed out late. She turned down intimacy. The bed that once held laughter now held silence. Grace confronted her again. Linda, stop before it's too late. That man doesn't love you. He loves your money. I can see it in his eyes, Linda snapped. Grace, enough. You don't understand. Raymond is boring. He has no excitement. Kevin makes me feel alive. Don't advise me again. Grace shook her head sadly. You're walking into fire with your eyes open. But Linda didn't care. The thrill of her secret life blinded her to reason. She had everything. A good husband at home, a passionate lover outside. She thought she was winning. What she didn't know was that the mask was cracking, and soon the truth would spill out, louder than she could ever imagine. Kevin's appetite for money grew like a fire that refused to go out. At first, Linda thought it was harmless, helping him with dinner bills, buying him clothes, paying for short trips. But soon, his demands became bigger. Babe, Kevin said, one evening as they sat in his apartment, I need a new car. This one is embarrassing me. You know I can't be driving around like this. People will think I'm not successful. Linda blinked. A new car? That's a lot of money, Kevin. He leaned close and kissed her cheek. You're different from other women. You believe in me. Once my business picks up, I'll take care of everything. For now, I just need your support. Her heart melted. She pulled out her phone and began calculating. She had already spent heavily on him, but she couldn't bear to disappoint him. She sent part of the money that night. Back at home, Raymond began to notice cracks. Linda was restless, always on her phone, always tired. She had stopped cooking most nights and gave excuses when he asked for intimacy. The warmth of their home was slowly disappearing. One evening, Raymond sat quietly in the living room, watching her as she scrolled on her phone, giggling at unseen messages. His heart felt heavy. He asked gently, "Linda, what's going on? You seem distracted these days." Linda looked up and forced a smile. "Nothing, just office stress." Raymond nodded, but inside, he wasn't convinced. He wanted to believe her, but the feeling in his chest told him something was wrong. The following week, Linda dropped another request. She came to him in the kitchen while he was fixing himself a cup of tea. "Raymond," she began softly, "I need money. A large sum. There's a business opportunity I can't miss." Raymond turned, surprised. "Business? What kind?" She shifted uncomfortably. "Just an investment my office is doing. I'll explain later. Please trust me, I need it quickly." He studied her face. The woman standing in front of him was not the same woman who once giggled at his little jokes and kissed his cheek before work. She was distant, nervous, and cold. "How much are we talking about?" he asked. She named the figure. It was huge. For a moment, Raymond almost said no, but then he remembered his vows, his promise to love her, and the trust he had always given. He sighed deeply and said, "All right, I'll give you the money. I just hope it's worth it." Linda smiled and hugged him lightly. "Thank you, Raymond. You'll see, it will help us in the long run." But when she left the room, Raymond's mind was not at peace. Something inside him whispered, "This is not about business. This is something else." Days passed, and Linda continued her secret life with Kevin. She transferred most of the money to him, claiming it would help him start his own business. He kissed her passionately and said, "You're my queen. No woman has ever done this for me." But Raymond grew more observant. He noticed how Linda avoided questions about her business. He noticed how quickly her phone buzzed with messages whenever she left the room. He noticed the way her eyes looked guilty when he entered suddenly. One night, Raymond lay awake in bed beside her. He thought of their early days, how she overlooked his potbelly because she wanted marriage, how she smiled proudly in their wedding photos, how she held his hand at church. Where had that woman gone? He turned to her sleeping face and whispered softly to himself, "Something is wrong. I need to open my eyes." Meanwhile, Linda was drowning deeper. Kevin's demands never stopped. After the car, he asked for furniture for his new apartment. After the furniture, he asked for more business capital. Linda's account was shrinking fast, but she didn't want to lose him. When she complained, Kevin pulled her close and said, "Baby, you know I love you, but love needs support. If you don't believe in me, who will?" She gave in again and again, even though she was slowly running dry. Grace saw it in her face. One afternoon, when they met for coffee, Grace studied Linda carefully. "You look drained, Linda. What's happening? You're not yourself." Linda snapped, "I'm fine. Just busy." Grace shook her head. "No, you're playing with fire. I told you before. Don't let greed and lust destroy your marriage. You will regret it." Linda rolled her eyes. "Grace, please. I'm not a child. I know what I'm doing." But she didn't know. The mask was slipping. The cracks were showing. Raymond's quiet suspicion was growing stronger, and the truth was getting closer, closer than Linda realized. The house was quiet that evening. Raymond sat on the sofa, flipping through a newspaper, while Linda showered in the bathroom. Her phone buzzed on the bed. At first, he ignored it, but then another message popped up. Curiosity tugged at him. He stood, walked over, and glanced at the screen. The message made his heart drop. Hope you enjoyed last night. I can't wait to see you again. My Queen. Raymond's hand trembled. He read the words again, slowly, as if maybe he misunderstood. But it was clear. His wife was with another man. He sat back down, his chest heavy, his breath uneven. He didn't confront her immediately. He folded the pain into silence and watched her step out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, humming softly as she creamed her skin. She picked up her phone, glanced at him, and smiled faintly. I have a dinner meeting tomorrow night with the office. Don't wait up for me. Raymond only nodded. All right. His voice was calm, but inside, a storm raged. The next evening, when Linda dressed elegantly in a fitted gown and perfume, Raymond offered to drop her. She waved her hand quickly. No, I'll drive myself. Don't worry. As soon as she left, Raymond followed at a distance. His heart pounded with every turn. She drove past the main roads, far from her office, into a quiet neighborhood. Finally, she parked in front of an apartment building. Raymond's eyes burned as he watched her step out of the car with a bright smile, carrying a bag in her hand. She walked to the door and knocked. Moments later, the door opened. Kevin stood there, half-dressed in only boxers, grinning as he let her in. Raymond's whole body stiffened. Linda walked inside, still in her heels, laughing softly. A moment later, she appeared again, briefly at the doorway, wrapped in only a towel. Raymond gripped the steering wheel tightly. He couldn't breathe. The woman he loved, the woman he gave everything, was naked in another man's house. He got out of his car and walked to the building, his knuckles rapped on the door firmly. Kevin opened it lazily, still in his underwear, and froze when he saw Raymond. Behind him, Linda's voice rang out. Who is it, baby? She appeared at the door, clutching her towel, her face going pale when her eyes landed on her husband. Raymond, she gasped. I can explain. Raymond didn't raise his voice. His eyes were red, his jaw tight, but his tone was steady. No need, Linda. I've seen enough. She reached for him, but he stepped back. Kevin smirked in the background, unbothered, like it was nothing. The humiliation burned deeper than any knife. Raymond turned and walked away. Linda ran after him barefoot, holding her towel tight. Please, it was the devil's work. Listen to me, I can explain. But he didn't stop. He got into his car, started the engine, and drove off, leaving her standing in the night like a stranger. At home, she came back hours later, her eyes swollen from crying. She knelt before him in the living room. Raymond, please. Forgive me. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far. He looked at her with deep sorrow. Linda, I gave you everything. I trusted you more than myself, and you spat on that trust. You didn't just make a mistake. You made choices, again and again. Don't tell me it was the devil. It was you, she sobbed, holding his feet. Please, just give me another chance. I'll change. I'll do anything. Raymond stood and pulled her hands away, gently. No, Linda, I'm done. You'll receive the divorce papers from my lawyer. Her heart broke as she clutched her chest. Raymond, please. Don't do this. I'll change. But his mind was firm. He had seen enough. That night, Raymond slept alone in the guest room, his heart heavy, but his decision clear. Linda cried until morning, pacing the house, calling his name, but he was silent. The truth was out. The marriage was broken, and there was no going back. The next morning, Linda packed her bags in a rush. She told herself she could still salvage something. Raymond had said he was done, but she believed if she showed Kevin her full loyalty, he would take her in. After all, she had spent so much on him. Surely he would not abandon her. Tears stained her cheeks as she stuffed clothes into a suitcase. Raymond sat quietly in the living room, watching her without a word. His silence was worse than shouting. She turned to him one last time. "Raymond, I'm sorry. Truly, please don't do this to us." He shook his head slowly. "No, Linda. You did this to yourself. The woman I married is gone. Go to whoever makes you happy." Her lips trembled, but she dragged her suitcase out of the house. When she arrived at Kevin's apartment, she knocked excitedly, expecting him to welcome her. But when the door opened, she froze. Kevin stood inside, his arm around a young woman, pretty, slim, and full of life. Linda blinked in disbelief. "Kevin, who is this?" Kevin smirked. "This is my fiancée, Anita. We're getting married soon." Linda's mouth fell open. "What? Fiancée? But what about me? What about us? I gave you everything. My money, my time, my love." Anita frowned, looking at Kevin. "Who is this woman?" Kevin chuckled, cold and careless. "Just a sponsor. Nothing serious." The words cut Linda's chest like a knife. She stepped back, shaking her head. "No, no, Kevin. Tell me you're joking. After all I did for you?" Kevin shrugged. "Linda, you were fun while it lasted. But come on, you're older, married, and desperate. Did you really think I'd spend my life with you? You gave me money, I enjoyed it, and now it's over. Don't embarrass yourself." Tears poured from Linda's eyes as her knees grew weak. "Kevin, you can't do this to me. I left my husband for you." Kevin's face hardened. "That's your problem, not mine. Go back to him if he'll take you. As for me, I'm moving forward with Anita. Goodbye, Linda." He shut the door in her face. Linda stood there, shaking, humiliated, broken. The neighbors peeked through their curtains, whispering. She dragged her suitcase down the stairs, tears blinding her vision. For the first time, she realized she had lost everything. In desperation, she went to Grace's house. She knocked frantically until Grace opened the door. "Linda," Grace's eyes widened. "What happened to you?" Linda dropped her suitcase and fell on her knees. "Grace, please. I need a place to stay. I've lost everything. Raymond wants a divorce. Kevin has another woman. Please, don't send me away." Grace's face turned hard. "Linda, I warned you. I told you to respect your marriage. I told you that man was using you, but you refused to listen. You laughed at my advice. And now see where it has brought you. Please," Linda sobbed, "I have nowhere else to go. Just let me stay here a while." Grace shook her head sadly. "No, Linda, I can't. You chose this path. You destroyed your own home with your own hands. I won't be part of covering your mistakes. You need to face the consequences." She shut the door slowly, leaving Linda on the doorstep, crying bitterly. By nightfall, Linda dragged herself to a cheap hotel. Her savings almost finished. The same woman who once traveled to Dubai and shopped in luxury was now alone in a tiny room with peeling paint and a flickering bulb. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, her chest heavy with regret. She thought of Raymond, his gentle love, his patience, his quiet sacrifices. She remembered Grace's warnings. She remembered every lie she told, every excuse she made about his potbelly, and she wept. For the first time, she realized what she had truly lost. Not just a husband, not just a home, but the one man who had loved her sincerely. But it was too late. The door to her old life was closed, and a harsher reality was waiting. Months passed. Raymond signed the divorce papers quietly and focused on healing. The first few weeks were the hardest. He came home to an empty house, the silence pressing against his chest like a weight. Sometimes he caught himself reaching for his phone to call Linda, only to remember the betrayal. Each memory burned, but he refused to let bitterness rule him. One afternoon, while eating lunch at a quiet restaurant, he ran into Grace. She was surprised to see him alone. "Raymond," she said gently, "how are you holding up?" He gave a small smile. "I'm managing." One day at a time, Grace sat with him. She had always admired his calm spirit. Unlike Linda, she saw beyond the potbelly and quiet routines. She saw a man who valued peace, loyalty, and respect. From that day, they began to talk more often. Sometimes it was over coffee, sometimes over a walk in the park. Grace encouraged him, "Don't give up on yourself, Raymond. You're stronger than you think." "And by the way," she added one evening with a playful smile, "you should try a healthier diet, less heavy food at night." He chuckled. "You sound like a coach." "Then let me be one," she replied. Little by little, she pulled him into new habits. Early morning walks, light dinners, a gym membership. At first he struggled, but Grace was patient. She joined him, motivated him, and cheered for every little progress. 3 months later, Raymond barely recognized himself. The potbelly that Linda once mocked had melted away. His shirts fit better, his face looked younger, and even his colleagues teased him, "Raymond, are you aging backwards?" For the first time in years, he felt confident again. More importantly, he felt alive. And with Grace beside him, the days no longer felt empty. Their friendship blossomed into something deeper. Before long, they were inseparable, planning a future together, built on honesty and trust. Then came the day of the mall encounter. Raymond and Grace had gone shopping for household items. They walked side by side, holding hands, laughing as they carried bags. Raymond wore a fitted shirt that showed his new frame. His eyes were brighter, his steps lighter. Grace looked radiant too, her smile glowing as she leaned into him. Suddenly, a voice called out, "Raymond?" He turned and froze. It was Linda. She stood a few steps away, holding a cheap handbag, her face pale and worn. Her hair was loosely tied, her dress faded. She looked nothing like the glamorous woman who once traveled to Dubai with Kevin. Her eyes widened as she scanned Raymond from head to toe. The potbelly was gone. He looked slimmer, sharper, and younger. She gasped before the words slipped out. "How come? You don't even have a potbelly anymore. You look younger. Different." Raymond smiled faintly. He glanced at Grace and then back at Linda. "Sometimes the right person brings out the best in you." Linda's lips trembled. "Please, Raymond. I made a mistake. I was foolish. I let the devil use me. You were a good man, and I didn't see it then. But I see it now. Can we try again? Please, just one more chance." Grace stood quietly, her hand still in Raymond's. Raymond shook his head slowly. "Linda, I gave you everything. I trusted you with all my heart, but you chose lies. You chose another man. You destroyed our marriage with your own hands. I forgive you, but I can never go back. It's too late." Tears streamed down Linda's face as she whispered, "I have no one. Kevin used me and left me. Grace, please, help me beg him." Grace's eyes softened, but her voice was steady. "Linda, I warned you. You refused to listen. Raymond doesn't deserve more pain. He deserves peace." Raymond placed his arm around Grace. "I've found happiness now. Real happiness. And I won't let it go." He turned and walked with Grace toward the parking lot, their laughter echoing as the sunlight poured through the glass roof. Linda stood frozen in the mall, her body shaking, her tears dripping onto the tiled floor. She had lost her husband, lost her lover, and lost her dignity. She was left with only regret. As Raymond and Grace drove away, Linda whispered to herself, "If only I had known. If only I had listened." But life does not rewind. The chapter was closed. Raymond had moved on, and Linda was left alone, facing the bitter taste of choices she could never undo.